Assalamu alaikum, family, peace, healing, and light. And welcome back to another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. And if you are new to the show, welcome, 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 beautiful souls. On today's episode, we have a beautiful soul on today's episode today. Beautiful, kind hearted sister, our sister Ameerah Muhammad, as we'll be discussing today's topic. Be happy being you, understanding and accepting your value. Sister Ameerah, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing well. How are you? For the
Yes, yes. All is well, beautiful. Praise be to Allah. I am so glad to have you on the show today. Now, for those who may not know who Sister Ameerah is, I will share with you guys a brief bio. So, Sister Ameerah Muhammad is a 25-year-old Vanguard from Waxahachie Study Group.
You said it
She
right.
was, I said yes. She was homeschooled by her mother and father, brother Malik, and sister Shree Muhammad
Yes, ma'am.
from pre-K through 12th grade and received her high school diploma at the age of 14. From the age of 15 to 19, she worked at the Little Genius Learning Center, a private school that her family owned and operated, teaching students from pre-K to 5th grade. At 16 years old, Sister Ameerah joined the Nation of Islam and has been an active member ever since. At 19, she graduated from Centro Community College with two degrees, one in fashion design and other in technical pattern design. For the past 5 years, Sister Ameerah has worked as an executive assistant at New Foundations Educational Consultations. Hope I
Consultant.
said that right. Yeah.
So,
Consultant. There you
yes.
go. Right. Consultant. Sorry. LLC. And her family's consultant company. In 2021, she serves as the Student Assistant Youth Coordinator for the Nation of Islam Youth Team. Since January of 2023, Sister Ameerah has been creating content on social media to empower women and help them recognize their true worth according to God. By Allah's grace and mercy, her work has reached women all over the world, including Georgia, Los Angeles, South Africa, Virginia, and London. Through her efforts, she has helped two women convert to the Nation of Islam. Praise be to Allah, sis. And invited seven guests to attend the Nation of Islam meetings and providing opportunities for people to hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speak at Savior's Day. Currently, Sister Ameerah is a part of I Deny, an extension of the MGT class that was suggested by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The program aims to encourage women to guard their chastity with joy and embrace their true self. It is led by Sister Student National Captain Naima Muhammad. Beautiful bio, sis. I love that. Yes, praise be to Allah. Now let's get started on today's episode.
I'm
Be
so excited.
happy being you,
Yes.
understanding and accepting your value. And please, for my audience today, do not, do not hesitate to put any questions you may have for our guest, Sister Ameerah, in the comment section below. So, in today's world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, right, by social pressure and expectations. However, true happiness and fulfillment come from understanding your inherent worth, not through external validation, but by embracing the love and value God has for you. This
Right.
episode invites you to think deeply about the concept of self acceptance, self love, and value that aligns your life with your divine purpose and the peace that comes with embracing who you are in the eye of Allah God. And that brings it to my first question for you, Sister Beautiful. What does it mean to you to find happiness in simply being who you are?
Wow. Well, first, again, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I really appreciate it. And to get straight into your question, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet you, Sister Angelica, and anyone listening in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Yes, ma'am. And to answer the question, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question for me?
Yeah, no problem. What does it mean to you what does it mean to you to find happiness in simply being who you are?
Okay. First of all, that is a really great question. Thank you for that question. And to say it really short, it means everything to me. To me, finding happiness and striving to be who God created me to be is the ultimate happiness that I could ever obtain in my lifetime, because that would be essentially fulfilling my purpose for my existence. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, happiness comes when a person understands their purpose for existence and then they fulfill that purpose. And that was from on X. So as I'm blessed to learn and gain more understanding of just how much God loves and adores us and the key role we as women play in his mission, we have the special honor of being co-creators with God. We are the mother of civilization. Through us, all great people that we read about came through our wombs as women. And I don't know, it just makes me so happy. I know, although it's not like a lightweight thing or role to have with God, but God loves us enough and he gave us the answer key to be successful in being in our role as women. And to me, being able to have the opportunity to contribute and live for something bigger than myself that will help serve God and his people. And then inshallah, produce children who will do the same. To me, like, there's nothing better than that. So there's more I can say, but that's a good summary of what it means to me. It means everything.
Yes,
Sure.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And as you were speaking, you brought up purpose, right? It allows us to even know what our purpose is, right?
That's
So,
right.
going into my next question, how can understanding one's value in the eye of God shape a person's sense of purpose and identity?
Yes, ma'am. Well, again, that is a really good question. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said in a Final Call article titled Nurturing Our Potential, he said, quote, if we know our purpose, then we know our potential. And of course, potential means that which one is capable of achieving. So when we understand our value and the great potential we have, we are now beginning to see ourselves how God sees us. And this, in a sense, will awaken our self-accusing spirit, the God within us. And that, in a way, forces us or compels us to want to handle and carry ourselves accordingly to how we allow others to handle us as well. And just to help paint the picture, because I love analogies of
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying. So let's say you have an inexpensive phone for like $25. I'm not really sure what kind of phone it is, but let's say it's $25 and you're real careless of how you care for it. You lose it sometimes. You don't care. You don't care enough to protect the phone. You don't cover it with a case. You don't care if you drop it or even if it breaks, etc. And the reason why is because it's cheap and it has little to no value to you. But
Mm-hmm.
let's say, you upgrade your phone, you get a more expensive phone like the newest iPhone. Guess what? More than likely, how we handle that phone won't be the same of how we handled the other phone. And the reason why is because we now understand and recognize its value.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll cover and protect the phone with the case. We'll put a track, we'll hit the toggle for it to, we'll have a tracker on our phone and
Mm-hmm.
we'll have a case over on our phone. We're not careless of how we handle it. And we don't just allow anyone to know our password or have access to that phone, etc. So just like that analogy, when we begin to understand our value and purpose to God, we don't handle or carry ourselves like we did before, because now we see the value given to us by God within ourselves. So that we'll begin to make changes. Some will be immediate changes and others may take, a little bit more time than the other changes. But just to list a few changes that may be immediate or longer, some will be making sure we're feeding ourselves the best food, the best water that we can, making sure that we exercise every day that we can, being more mindful. I know this one may be a little more difficult, being more mindful of the music and the movies that we watch and listen to. That's very important. And making sure we converse and hang around like-minded individuals who believe as we believe. Another one is making sure that we are not on social media DMing brothers, having conversations that we know we shouldn't be having, and vice versa if you're a brother. And as women, we should make sure that we strive to love ourselves to the highest degree in decency in the way we dress, making sure our adornments are covered, like our behind, our chest, our hair, and making sure our clothing doesn't fit so tight, so it won't reveal our bodies. And it's because our bodies, our womb, our being is absolutely sacred to God. And it's not meant just for anyone in the world to see. That's
Mhm.
for God, ourselves, and our mate, if he blesses us to have one. So when we
Mhm.
know and understand our purpose and value to God, we begin to change our lives to reflect our new understanding and belief. So hopefully that answers the question, Sister Angelica.
No, yeah, absolutely. You definitely like nailed that
Praise be
point
to
right there. Yes, praise be to Allah. I love how you gave that analogy, just how when we do know our value, we do
right.
understand our purpose in the eye of Allah God, we will carry ourselves differently. Just as
Agree.
if we bought that new phone and we know how much we paid for that phone,
Mhm.
you're gonna cover it. You're gonna put some insurance on it, right?
Right.
you know
That's true.
so as we treat the objects that we have in our life, the materialistic things, like, what makes you think that God doesn't look at you way better than a cell phone or
Right, right.
anything else, right?
Exactly.
So handle with care. It reminds me of, like, when someone's shipping something off, how it's fragile.
Right.
We
With
gotta
the bubble
handle
wrap.
ourselves. Yeah, you gotta wrap it up, make sure it's right.
Right.
Handle our self-care, and being fragile when it comes to just how we treat ourselves, right? Now I believe, now this is a little off script, sister,
Okay.
Ameerah, but I believe you're going to be able to answer this question perfectly. I know you are. So you brought up how women, I'm not saying this verbatim, but like how women can start to love their self more by covering up themselves, right?
Right.
Do you mind just going just a little bit more in depth as to why is it so important? Because I truly don't I don't believe that a lot of women in today's world understand the value of
Right.
covering up your adornment, or covering yourself up, as a protection. So do you
Mhm.
mind just going a little bit in depth as to why is it so important as women that we represent ourselves in the best way, and modesty, by covering ourselves?
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you for that question. So the reason why it's important. So first, number one, I don't know if you heard this talk like amongst our generation where they're like, what do you bring to the table? What's your value? Or what is this? What have you heard? Okay.
Yeah,
So that I hear that talk as
all the
well
time.
all the time. So we're taught in the Nation of Islam, we're second to the wisest God. We're second to God. We are his second self. So we are born inherently with that value, right? So it's not like we have to go get it. We're born automatically with it. So once we're born with that value, the importance of maintaining dressing the way that you mentioned, covering ourselves up modestly, is helping to maintain the value that we're given. Because
Mhm.
if we start to go down that role of indecency, on wearing things that's revealing, doing all those things, is going to put us at a is going to, in a way, surrender our birthright of who we are, give up our value. And it's not even, just to add to this point. So there was a study done it slips my mind of the university. If it comes back when I'm talking, I'll say it. But there was a study done. Yeah, yeah, still in mind. Okay, but anyway, so there's a study done to see how the male brain reacts to seeing women with a certain amount of clothing on, right? So they used a brain scan, I believe, or some kind of scan with the brain to see. And so they showed the men a series of pictures of women dressed with little to no clothing, and then another series of pictures of women dressed modestly. So the
Mhm.
pictures that the men saw, what activated or registered in their brain when they saw the women with little to no clothing, it showed that the region in their brain activated was an object or a tool. That's
Mhm.
what registered to the man. And then once they saw, those same men saw the images of women dressed modestly, a region in their brain activated of security, protection, all the things that we deserve. But I'm
Right.
just trying to show you the science that backs behind what we're taught. So it's so much deeper than just covering yourself. It's a protection even from our own self. It's kind
Mhm.
of like a uniform. If you're a fireman, you put on fireman uniform because you're prepared to go, fight fires, do all of that stuff. So we have a uniform in accord with who we are. And in the Nation of Islam, as women, we're given the uniform of dressing modestly. And it's so much, again, it's so much deeper. We can go so much more into it, but it's really to help uphold and keep your mind. Even you can bear me witness, like when you wear a garment, when you cover yourself, you carry yourself, you're kind of like forced to carry yourself differently. You have that good posture, like, you know what I mean? So in doing that, in the practice of striving to dress modestly, striving to represent the way God intended us to be, it really does good protection for us mentally and everyone else as well. So that's what I would say to that. Hopefully that answered the question. But
yes, it did. And that was so beautiful. I'm a big fan of analogy. So
me too.
Thank you for like giving us a picture of why is it so important, right?
Right.
Being transparent and, being open and honest, what it'll be. And I just spoke to you before we got on the show. October 22nd will be 2 years of me being in a nation.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. I'm just so grateful that, Allah chose me, to be a part of this beautiful nation. And I can honestly say, as I'm going through my transitioning of coming from the world and, coming into this new world, this beautiful world, being in a nation, it is, I have my struggles there, here and there,
We all do.
Yeah, I do. But, like I said, I'm being honest, being transparent, but I can honestly bear witness to the amount of confidence that I've gained from dressing more modestly, covering myself up, covering my hair up, like just going out in public, like getting compliments. I'm like, whoa, so it makes you just makes you feel different and know that you're different, right? You're not like all the other women out here, and also being able to be that example. Like like I said, before I joined, I will see the sisters. I will see you and other young sisters covered up and dressed up. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys are so beautiful. So you see how much beauty comes out, when you really dress modest. Because I'm looking into your face, I'm looking and understanding your mind just by the way that you're covering yourself up. Just like you said, your clothes is your uniform. Just like if you're going out to fight fire, you got your fireman suit,
so for the uniform.
Right. So that's the same way, like, these are like our superwoman garments. We're really here to save the day, and I really like love and enjoy that. So I just wanted to just throw that in there real quick.
Oh, thank you for that question, though. I really, really appreciate that question.
Yes, I love that. Great answer, great response. So it takes me to my next question. If you guys got any questions you want to add in the comment box, please put it down below. Do not hesitate. Okay. Put it in the comment box. And if you guys are enjoying this episode already, go ahead and put your fire emojis in the comment box, you guys. Give us some love, okay? So, going on to my next question. In what ways might social standards of worth conflict with spiritual understanding of our personal values and worth?
This is an excellent question, and what you just asked is like a great segue to this question.
It was right on time. I didn't even look at the question though.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. I appreciate that, Ayub. I appreciate that. So first, we already know Satan deceived this whole world, right? So if we are striving to live a righteous life that's pleasing to God, then of course there will naturally be like conflicts. And just to give a couple examples of that, one would be this world encourages women. See, this is what I'm about to say. This world encourages women to wear clothing that displays our bodies for the world to see. But according to God, to love ourselves to the highest degree of decency, we should dress modestly and cover our adornments, like I mentioned previously, which of course is in the Bible, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9 and 10. Another example of social standard conflicts is that this world promotes reversing the roles of men and women. I'm sure Sister Angelica, you've seen it like everywhere, probably everywhere you turn. But nowadays, the woman functions as the man and the man functions as the woman in relationships. And although, however, we are taught in the Nation of Islam that the man is the provider, the protector and maintainer of the women and of the woman, and the woman is the nurturer and consoler of that man, etc. So there are many ways social standards can conflict with our spiritual understandings or belief. But the only way the social standards can conflict with our personal values and understanding is if our spiritual foundation of our faith and belief is not strong enough to withstand the opposition of this world. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, it's via X as well, if you compromise, quote, if you compromise the gospel, the true gospel of Christ, to win the favor of the world, you're no longer of Jesus. In fact, you probably never were, because if the Spirit of God is in you for that word and for that Jesus, you have to stand on that word, end quote. So I know you love analogies, which is great because I have another one because I love analogies. It's kind of like planting a seed in soil, right? So the foundation of the roots of the plant, if it doesn't have a strong grip on that or hold in that soil, chances are if strong winds come or some turbulence comes, it will uproot that plant because the grip wasn't strong enough. But the plant that has deep roots, which is something you can't see because, you know, it's like typically either in the ground or if you have like a pot to plant your stuff in. So if the roots are deep and the foundation is strong, the soil, it will have a greater chance of surviving from being uprooted from strong winds. So if you notice, again, like I said, we can't see how deep those roots are. So we won't know how strong our foundation is until we're tried. So trials are good. It's good. It's good if you look at it that way. So we'll truly know how strong our foundation is, again, when trial or opposition comes our way. And another thing that I wanted to say is that, like when we're doing self-improvement, everybody sees us physically, but internally we have to be as like that strong plant. We have to work on ourselves internally to strengthen our grip and hold to God. So that way, inshallah, whenever that trial comes, we'll be able to get back up or, you know, be strong to withstand that. And if not, just learn from where, you know, we found our weakness and, you know, go to work with that. So that's what I would have to say about that answer. So if anyone listening needs or want assistance, you know, with that process of what that looks like, please DM at NYWax. You can see it. I don't know where you see it on your screen, but it's on there. And the believers there will be more than happy, like, to assist you in your journey. So that's what I would say to that question.
Yes, yes. So beautiful, so beautiful. And it actually takes me to my next question. It's like everything you're saying is aligning to what's next, right? So you kind of talked about just being able to just us having to be able to build up basically that spiritual power within us in order to withstand just the social standards of what they believe worth is. And when we build up that spiritual power, we have more of an understanding as to why, you know, we shouldn't even, you know, try to compare ourselves to the social standards of what worth is to us or what our real personal values are.
Right.
So it takes me to my next question. How does faith, right? How does faith contributes to developing a healthy sense of self-acceptance and self-worth?
Yes, ma'am. Well, before I answer this question, I remember where I got that study from. It was Princeton University. I just have to say that, like, it was from Princeton University. But to get into your question, faith we know is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen, which means that we are not where we want to be, but the evidence of where we're trying to go is already here. For example, there's a scripture in the Bible where Jesus is walking on water and Peter was in the boat, and Peter and some others saw God walking on the water. And the fact that they saw God walking on the water means that was the evidence that they too can walk on the water. And so he asked Peter to, you know, to come to him. And Peter, of course, he was afraid because, I mean, imagine somebody walking on water. Now, of course, this is not like this is not physical, it's a metaphor, but it's a great illustration of faith, because once Peter was convinced and motivated enough to step out on the water through asking Jesus questions. Now, notice he first asked questions, like he didn't just, you know, get up and go and walk on the water. So he had to be convinced. So once he stepped on the water, of course, we know how the story goes. As long as he had his eye on the master, he was able to do it. And in the lecture titled Fear, Faith, and Truth by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I'm paraphrasing, but he shared a story where he was walking with the FOI outside, I believe somewhere outside, and he was walking in front of the brothers because he likes to, go on walks, and there was a bull in his path. And he said he was afraid because the bull like put his head down and he started doing his foot like, I don't know, he wants to do something. And
Yeah.
and the minister said he was afraid, but he like paused and thought to himself, and he challenged his fear and went on walking forward. And as he began to walk forward, that fear jumped in the bull and he just ran away. So the purpose of the faith in both situations, Peter had to be convinced, that he couldn't actually walk on water, and the minister had to be convinced to tap in to the strength that he knows is already within him from God. So the minister was focused in that situation, in that example, and because he remained focused on the energy and the strength that he summoned within himself based in Master Father Muhammad, he stayed focused on the path of walking. And again, like I said, the bull ran away. But for Peter's example, when the winds began to blow, he lost focus because he began to sink. It began to sink. And Jesus had to reach out to get him out the water. So I'm saying that to say, we have to have faith in order to get where we're trying to go. Because I remember reading, I don't remember what part, but in the self-improvement study guide, I believe it's volume 1, the minister said, our knowledge is limited. So that means our knowledge can only take us so far in this life. So there will be instances where we have to rely on our faith in God, but we can't develop a healthy sense of acceptance without faith. Master Father Muhammad coming to us proves that, because we were blind, deaf, and dumb, and he had to come convince us. It's always convincing that takes place, because your knowledge, again, our knowledge will run out. And that's why Master Father Muhammad told us these 6 words: accept your own and be yourself.
Yes.
So the reason why we have faith is because of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is the example. So what we are hoping for, the evidence is right in front of us in the minister and his example. Is because of his example that we can have a healthy sense of self-acceptance, because he's already gone through everything. So did the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So those are 2 examples right there. So we really have no reason not to accept our own and be ourselves, even though I was not like physically there in the time of, Master Father Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I've been blessed to witness their power through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is right here today and is their representative. And I've seen him go from saying, Sister Angelica, I'm probably sure you've seen lectures with him saying like, he's not a saint. He didn't fall off the sky. He used to smoke a reefer. So
yes.
we've witnessed all of that to now him becoming a God right in the front face of this world. So we get to see that it's a process. Same thing with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said he had his eyes deep in the mud. Like, you know what I mean? So it's a process to get to that point. So self-acceptance it's not hard, but when we have faith in that process, we have to have faith in the mission. We have to have faith in God, the God that made Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan who he is right now. So yeah, that I'm done with that self-acceptance part. I think I pretty much said a lot there. But when we get to self-worth, because we know who we are, like I mentioned in my previous answer with the cell phone analogy, once you've accepted your faith, you have to realize that you have what you need. There are things you won't know, that you don't know. There's things that, or something that, but there's someone or something in existence that proves that it can be true. So our self-worth, it builds our character development. It helps our faith get stronger and stronger. And the more tests we go through, which I just mentioned, the more tests we go through, we try God, and he comes through for us every single time when we follow his method, his way, his protocol, his procedure. The more we do that, we win those little battles, the stronger we become for the larger battles. And we would surely have that before us, because in the Quran, it says that he tries us severely once or twice a year. So since we know that that's coming, first of all, that's love that he told us that, So now that we know that, that's the reason why we have to have faith right there, because once we have that faith in God, we don't have to worry about, what we know or what we don't know in the time of not having that knowledge to deal with it. We can just draw strength from the evidence that we do know, and that will help us to accept ourselves, which then proves that we know our worth. Because not knowing our worth would mean that, we would give up, we would turn around, we'd quit, we'd abort the process. Only people who don't know their their self-worth, they do those things. So I just want to say that part, but hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, yes, it did. That was so beautiful. Praise be to Allah. I love that. It's just, it's just time. And I was actually going back over listening to how to think
Give
how
birth.
to birth the how to birth for God. Yes, oh my gosh. I believe every woman in the world
Yes, listen to that lecture.
listen to that lecture.
Yeah, it's really good.
Everyone. It doesn't matter Christian, Muslim, we not even thinking about that. Every woman need to listen to that lecture. And what kind of stood out for me was just how he just really went in depth just about why the women need to know and understand
Mm,
their value and how
right.
important they are in the eye of God. And it was
Mm-hmm.
really because, and I'm not saying this verbatim, but I recall the minister saying that, if a woman don't know her value, then she will tend to get abused and abuse herself.
That's what he said. That's
And because of that, we can see that happening in
that's
our
right.
world today. Our women are battered. Our women are hurt. Our women are misunderstood. But like he also said, 75% of the work is with the woman.
That's right.
But however, um, he also said it because it makes me think about just the men in general,
Mm-hmm.
that there is no such thing as a no good woman.
That's right.
If it was a no good man that kind of
Made
got
her
that
that way.
going. However, but because we have so much of a work to do,
Mm-hmm.
as women, we have to be able to pull ourselves together when we are battered, when we are hurt, when we
Right.
are going through certain things. And I truly believe on building on that sisterhood for strength to get through it. So praise be to Allah. And if you all are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please, please, please show your support by donating today by texting the word donate to 937-313-2466. And if you all are enjoying all of the broadcasts here on CTGB Network, please show your support as well. Information to donate will be shown on the screen below. I love you all. Now let's get back to today's episode. Be happy being you, understanding and accepting your value with Sister Ameerah Muhammad. Praise be to Allah. Oh my gosh, this episode is already fire. I'm loving it already.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes. So I'm going into my next question here for you.
Sister Angelica, do you mind if I say something?
Go right ahead, sis.
Okay. So when you
Always listen. Go ahead.
so when you was talking about, that sisterhood, it just reminded me of the importance of having the family structure as God intended for it to be, with the mother and the father being in their roles, and the mother taking, rearing the children, and the father assisting her as well. Because when you have those, we're going to have struggles. We're going to have ups and downs. That's like guaranteed. We know that already. So in those moments, it's truly important not to just have, to have that family structure, especially one who believes in God and is striving, to do righteousness, because once that happens, your family will be that the part you're referring to with the sisterhood, you will
Mm-hmm.
get that in your family. The sisterhood will be gravy. And
Yeah.
and I'm saying that because I'm bearing witness to the circumstance, or my lifestyle that I'm blessed to have. So like you read in the beginning, all of my siblings who was of age joined the Nation of Islam. And
Mm-hmm.
so every day, that spirit of Savior's Day, when you're just like, oh my God, you're just so happy to like get up. It's all believers. Every turn, it's a believer. It's a believer. And all that.
Yes.
So when I wake up in the house with my family, that's how I feel. I'm surrounded by believers who are actively striving to do this mission. So trust me, I have those days where I'm like, okay, guys, I'm kind of weak. I need help. I would literally draw from, of course, pray to God. Of course, that's just a given. But draw from their energy, draw from their strength in the areas that I know that I'm weak in. So having that family is truly important. That's been very, very impactful in my growth and development. So shout out to my mother and father, brother
Yes.
Matthew, Muhammad, and all my siblings. So I just want to bear witness to that. Like
Oh
family
my.
is really important.
Yes, yes, and I love that. And that's the reason why we have to it's important to rebuild the family,
Right.
you know, because we need each other. And, you know, praise be to Allah, like you can see the work that your mother and father has done based off, you know, y'all, you know, the children. Look at you, you know, look at your siblings. Like you can tell just how much, you know, that togetherness, that family, you know, mother and father being there for you guys
Right.
has helped to raise and bring you up to a beautiful state, you know, coming into and getting into a complete of I would say eminence, right?
Right.
So family is important. And as we're talking about family, you know, the woman in general has that huge role to play within that family dynamic, right? So it takes me to my next question. How can a woman maintain confidence in her worth when faced with rejection
Mm.
or criticism from others?
Wow. Okay. Wonderful question, especially in today's time of social media, that confidence part. So, confidence is based on knowledge because, the more we know of something, the more confident we will be. So, maintaining your confidence and my confidence as a woman through knowledge of who we are, our self worth, all those things, self acceptance that I mentioned earlier, it's difficult to be rejected, honestly, at all. So, what I
Mm,
mean by that is if I'm doing all of those spiritual practices that I talked about earlier, you have to understand that with every practice, every exercise, every Ramadan, every unity fast, the whole process of trying, to make sure we weigh properly in regards to how we live the life and like our physical weight. So, all of that makes me confident in myself. So, being rejected, God's not going to ever reject me if I'm striving to be in obedience to him.
mm,
So whoever rejects me in the world, it is based on a standard of measure that I don't have, that I don't really care about and I'm not concerned about. So having, again, about the family, having a father in your life or having a husband in your life, but most importantly, having God in your life, that's all the protection and confidence you will need to face rejection. Because if you're dealing with another individual who's rooted in God, 9 times out of 10, you don't have those type of rejections that you're referring to in the question. And
mm,
that's why in the Bible, Jesus said you should be equally yoked, meaning you're like-minded, meaning that when you are involved in a certain style, whether it be the Nation of Islam, whether it be church, whether it's Greek fraternity, for example, anybody that joins, they have already agreed to the things that make them to be accepted. So if you're
mm,
talking about being rejected, it's going to come from somewhere outside of what, we believe, which quite naturally we should expect and of course know how to handle. So we maintain the confidence because there is no one outside of God that can interfere with our confidence.
ooh,
Being rejected by the world, Jesus said, when you are evil spoken of and persecuted for my name's sake, we should rejoice and be happy. So that's the point of what Jesus was saying. He was not worried about being rejected by the world. No one of God is going to reject righteousness. So
ooh.
any rejection that I face as a woman will be coming from a source that's I'm not concerned with, like, at all, like it's not on my radar. And then as far as criticism from others, accepting constructive criticism is healthy. It's like, you evaluating yourself. Again, if we're practicing self-correction, self-analysis, self-evaluation, constructive criticism only helps us because
Mm,
even if someone's telling you wrong, like with the wrong spirit, it really depends on the mindset of how you perceive it. And again,
mm,
Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a great example of that because he's mentioned before that he looks at the caricature tours of people, of what they make of him, and he learns from that. He listens to what people have to say about him. And if it's the truth, he accepts that truth and he makes whatever, adjustments he needs to make based on that truth, and he keeps working. So again, criticism is welcome, and when you're striving to be perfect, and when you want to do what Jesus said, like he said, be perfect even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Well,
mm.
that's not going to come without criticism. So the criticism is welcomed again when you have a healthy perspective on life, yourself, who you are, and what your mission is. So yeah, hopefully that answers.
Yes, that was so perfect. I think this question needs to just stand out because
Stand
I truly believe that it has to this I think that is like a specific that question was so specific and
right.
it's so well needed. I'm so glad you answered that because I can bear witness that what I say all the time is I call it what's that, Godfidence. Like,
Okay.
I hope I said it right. Godfidence.
Yes, I
So,
believe you're
yeah.
saying.
So like, I am not concerned about what the world has to say about me no
Right.
more.
Right.
And you broke it down when you said that confidence is really based off knowledge.
That's right.
So if the woman does not know or does not have the knowledge of herself or her
Mhm.
God, she will lack confidence.
That's right.
So you broke it down, and it's just like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to use this at my event Saturday.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Please do.
This is
Please share.
beautiful. Lord, listen, praise be to God, because I felt that, because it wasn't until I joined the nation and was able to just feed on the words and get to know who I truly was. Like, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who I was before I joined the nation. I didn't know the true value of the woman. That actually what brought me into the nation.
Wow.
When I was listening to these lectures about, the value of the woman is woman. I never in the world
Wow.
heard anyone speak like that about the woman.
Wow.
And when I say, I'm like, oh yeah, you stand up with you have
Exactly, because
you feeling good, like I'm the mother of civilization.
Right.
Like it,
Yes,
it
ma'am.
does something to you. So like, and I spoke a little bit about this before the show, but I gave my sister some love and some flowers of just the work that she's doing. Just pushing that content out there to let our women know their value and understanding the knowledge of their self and the knowledge of God, and how of course we don't need a man to validate us, right?
Right.
That we do want to get married, and that's the goal, but that shouldn't identify who you are and identify your true value, right?
Right.
So it takes me to my next question, and I didn't have it on here, Sister
I
Ameerah.
want to. Okay, I'm gonna say something after you say something. I have. No, you're
No,
okay.
go ahead, you can go.
No, I don't want you to lose your question. You're okay.
No,
It's great.
I'm gonna remember it.
Okay. Okay, Sister Angelica. So everybody heard. So when you come back, you're like, I forgot. I told you. I was gonna say, just listening to you speak, I just wanted to. I think I shared it with you before we went live, but just say all praise due to Allah for you having the spirit that you have, because you could have learned about the value of the woman and be like, I'm not telling anybody. I'm not gonna. But you decided to do a platform where you're sharing that and bringing on individuals to talk about that. So in a sense, you're helping other people as well, other women or other individuals who log on. So thank you for doing that, because you didn't have to have that kind of heart to do that. So
Oh, praise
that.
be to Allah, sis. I just feel like, like I found my purpose, as a young girl, and just me dealing with things with men. I had daddy issues. I had men issues. I've been abused. I've been all types of things, growing up as a young girl. So when I was able to come into the knowledge of self and God and understand my value, I said, every woman needs to know this. Everyone. Because I've grown up seeing young women getting killed and murdered by their spouses, and being in these toxic situations and relationships. And when you really look at the root of it, it's because they really don't even know who they are. They don't know. You don't know your value, sis. So let me help you out, right? So I feel like it's my mission. Like, Nation of Islam, like everybody has their own different mission, but we all have the same collective mission, right?
Right.
So just being in a nation and just going through my process, I'm like, man, this can't be a secret. Everyone needs to know. Like, every woman needs to know their value. Like, I want every woman to experience what I experienced. The connection I have with Allah, God, is so beautiful, and our women are missing that, right?
It's so yeah, it breaks my heart to think. I've shared something similar to what you're saying. It breaks my heart to know that, like, oh my God, some women live in return to Allah, not ever knowing this knowledge, and just from that, I was like, oh my God. So that kind of was my my drive and passion as well for sharing. So yeah, I
Yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
doing that.
I love it. I love it. Praise be to Allah. Now I remember my question.
Okay, okay.
So it brings me to my next question, right? Like and like I said, this not in the this is
Okay,
not what I sent you.
yes,
But
ma'am.
I want to talk about the importance of chastity.
Okay.
I really want to talk about that because you know, I really didn't understand it again until I joined a nation and just
Mhm.
understanding my value and understand the sacredness of the womb. Oh my gosh. Like what?
Mhm.
So like, do you mind just letting letting our audience know and just speaking to the women about how important it is to maintain your chastity?
Yes, ma'am. I'm so happy you asked this question. Yes, I will definitely answer this question. So first, before I answer it, I just want to kind of define what chastity is because so people don't know. So just
Yeah.
to give a brief definition of it, chastity means to abstain from premarital sex outside of marriage. So that's just to lay the definition there, and it kind of goes back to the analogy that I was given in the beginning. So a lot of people question like what value do they bring to the table? It's a lot. You hear a lot of it on podcasts, and again, we are born with value. So all the things that we view in this lifetime is valuable, maybe an iPhone, a car, all the things that we view after God created himself. He didn't go create the next iPhone. He didn't go create the sun. He didn't go create everything that we see of value. He created us, the woman. So
Mm,
we truly are extremely valuable. We are second to God, and we are blessed to be a co-creator with Allah. So we have that value. So just have that understanding. You have that value, we as the second self of God, but we have to do things to truly embody being the second self of God, even though that is our birthright. So it's kind of, and I'm gonna give an analogy. So it's kind of like a car, right? I'm pretty sure you probably heard an analogy like this before. But if its intention is to go from destination, A to B, or where, you know what? No, hold on. Let me think about this. I would, I'm gonna think of another analogy that I wanted to say. Okay, so this is the analogy I want to say. All right. So let's say you work for let's say you work for this huge major company, right? And there's a bunch of employees of women, and there's a boss over the company because that's normal, right?
mhm,
All right, so you're given a task to do, and you have a job description, and the job description is to maintain the value of the product that they gave you,
mhm,
right? Everybody has that job description. So in that company, if you kind of go out and sell your product to different individuals that you were not supposed to give that product to, guess what? It's going to diminish its value. And
mm,
by the time when it's actually time for you to, Allah blesses you with that person, you added extra baggage that you didn't have to add. You add a lot of emotional things that go through. And every time you sold that product to someone else, that person or who took that product, it lingers with you for, it's not going to be gone after that moment of selling it. So
yes,
I just wanted to kind of paint the analogy of that. So since we have that value, we are blessed to just protect that value, upkeep it, and just keep growing ourselves in the way of God. And so it's truly important, because if you just give yourself away to just any man without waiting for God to give you the person he intended for you to have, you are diminishing the value that you were born with. And it makes it harder for you to become the woman that God intended for you to be. It's like you're adding extra burden or road blockage to where the destination God wanted you to go, that was a clear path. So it's really important, and it's so much more. It's really important and very deep. So I just wanted to say that. Hopefully that answers the question.
no, yes, absolutely, it did. And again, I love the analogies. Break it down. I love
Thank you
it.
too. Yes,
Wow,
ma'am.
yeah. So it's just like oh my God, the minister spoke on how to give birth to the guy. I was
Mhm.
listening to part 4, and he broke down just how like of course a seeking uh a man of God, and
Mhm.
how typically a woman only truly loves one time in her life,
Right.
like, and after that it's kind of hard to kind of like
Go back.
go back, and that woman to have that love like she did the first time. So
Mhm.
um I'm not saying it verbatim, but it just kind of made me think about just why is it so important for women to be patient and
Right.
be gentle and kind to their self when they're in this process of
Mhm.
just building their self, so they can find, or so the right person, that man of God, will come to you. Because like you said, before, like, if you're you have this valuable product and you already given away to so many so many people. I'm sorry. So I just thought about something. The minister had said something about just how, you know, it's in part 4, how to give birth to the guy. You guys have to listen to it. But he said, like, the women become stale.
Mhm.
Like the women, like, once they experience, they're not fresh
He was
anymore. They're not,
he was
you
saying that
know.
he was saying that whenever after he said that part, I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying that after you're heartbroken from that person, when the next brother comes around, you treat him as if this brother did you how the other brother did you, which is not
Mm,
fair. That is not fair. Let me just say that's not fair to do. So it is, yeah, it just again saves you from a lot of heartbreak. Of course, there's a lot of um sexual transmitted diseases that could happen if you just give you it's a lot much deeper than that, but it means everything, honestly.
absolutely, absolutely. It means everything. I think I kind of laugh because how he has said it. I kind of figure you know what I'm talking about,
I
but
do know
he
what you're talking
didn't say it like that. But the
about.
way he said, like, they're stale. They're like, they're
Yeah.
not fresh out the
Yep.
box.
Yes, ma'am.
Praise be to Allah. So we are winding down, and I'm going to go into my last question here for you before we end today's show. If you
Okay.
guys been enjoying today's show, please, please, please put your heart emojis in the comment section below. This has been such a beautiful dialogue. So I want to just get into just possible some possible practical ways
Hmm.
that women can continue to remind themselves of their worth on a daily basis
Right.
when challenges arises. So what practical ways can women remind themselves of their worth on a daily basis?
Yes, ma'am. Great question. What we talked about is, again, is another great segue to this question. But when I was mentioning making sure that we know that we are have the value already, but the first thing we need to do as women is be worthy of that. And what I mean by that is we can't remind ourselves of something that we're not. So the
Mm,
first thing we have to do as women is be worthy of God's presence, worthy of God's mercy, worthy of God's beneficence, worthy of God's favor. And the way we do that as women is we have to do the same process that I spoke about earlier, like the spiritual practices. So some of the ways, so if you want to ask yourself, like, what are some of the ways we can stay worthy? We have to, again, be worthy first. And
mm,
then we are given 5 pillars of Islam, which is belief, prayer, charity, fasting, and then struggle. So we have to believe daily. We have to make sure that we feed ourselves on that belief daily, whether it's we have to be engaged with the word is what I mean. So whether it be reading the word of God, listening to the word of God, final call radio, just reminding ourselves throughout the day of God's word so that we can be empowered from within and have a connection to the God within us in order to, strengthen our sense of worth. So that's the belief part. Now, prayer. Of course, we're taught to pray 5 times a day. And of course, anything additional, you can do that as well. But that's another daily activity that can remind ourselves of our worth. And it
mm.
kind of reminds me of, I remember like hearing that, how can you bathe 5 times and be unclean? So if you're cleansing yourself this many times a day, it's kind of hard to be dirty in a sense, like mentally
Mm.
thinking as well. So charity is paid monthly. We have, the number to poor, obligatory Savior's Day gift. In the Quran or the Hadith, it says every step you take towards the mosque is charity. So a kind deed is charity.
Mm.
So if every day we focus on doing good deeds, first to ourselves before
Yes.
anybody else. And that looks like what I said in the previous answer about, feeding ourselves the best food, drinking the best water, working out, making sure we stick to our 1 meal a day, depending on our age. So those are daily practical things that we can do to keep our self-worth alive, in addition to striving to master our 7 units given to us by God. And once we reach that level, to where it becomes a daily habit. Like we've kind of mastered it in a sense of reminding ourselves of that. We have to put ourselves in the position to be worthy and identify that with our worth. And what that looks like is we should produce evidence that we are worthy.
Mm.
And what does that look like? What's the evidence? So it looks like us physically, not only physically making our prayers, but people should be able to feel that we make our prayers. It's kind of like when you're like, when you around the minister of Savior's Day, you can feel that presence radiating. You can be all the way in the back, but you can feel the presence of him. You know it's something different about him. So our life dictates that we are connected to God. So when you talk to people, it sounds like it should sound like you're talking to God after you finish talking to them. Like it should feel like that from the other end, because we are striving to do nothing. We should be striving to do nothing except what God said do. And we should speak positively. Like Jesus brought hope. So when people leave from talking to us, how do they feel? Do they feel inspired? Do they feel motivated? Do they feel encouraged? We know what it feels like to receive the opposite. Like we see that somebody calling us that one person, we're like, oh my God, let me not answer. Let me stop because we already know what we're going to get. So how do they feel after they have a conversation with us? Do they feel empowered, or do they feel hopeless? Do they feel defeated? Because the reality of it is that whoever we talk to, we're either going to feel one of the two, or vice versa. Like they're going to feel one of the two from us. So we should want to be intentional and have evidence of being worthy. And that's like a higher level of that, in addition to doing the daily practices that I mentioned. So yeah, yes, ma'am.
I love that. I love that, especially being able to radiate that energy. Like,
right.
You know, I love how you brought up, like, you got that one person to call and be like, not today.
Exactly. Or you see him in the store, you're like, let me go this way. Exactly. So we don't want to be that person.
Right. We don't want to be on the other end. They be like, oh, I do not want to talk to sister.
All they talk about is death. All they talk about is this. Something happened on the no.
Yes. No. Yes, absolutely. We got to be the example. And I believe, like you said, just being able to use these the spiritual practices, the prayer, the charity, the studying, it ends up becoming you. And then I always say that, whatever's going on in your inner world is whatever's going on in your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Right. So, things that you take in on a daily, if you're studying, if you're praying, if you're fasting, you're going to see a reflection of the things that you're doing for yourself in your outer world, from that way you respond to people, way people respond to you, how people just might be like, hey, I buy your groceries today. Just like things that just happen in your life. And you be like, oh my gosh, is this luck? It's you putting in that work of just being, you feeding on yourself and feeding on the word of God. Because at the end of the day, Allah, he wants us to have, he wants us to, live our heaven now. Be
happy with ourselves.
Exactly. He wants us to be happy and accept our own and be ourselves, right? So praise be to Allah. OMG. Sister Ameerah, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today to discuss this well-needed topic. This was such a beautiful topic. I
really enjoyed this conversation. No, seriously, thank you for the invite. I really appreciate it. I'm truly honored to have been invited on your show.
Yes. I'm so happy. This was a well-needed topic of be happy being you, understanding and accepting your value. I would also like to thank my amazing audience and Healing Tribe for joining us today. I pray this episode was informative, valuable, and of course, and always healing to you all. Also, be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe so you won't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes on any of your favorite podcast stations. CTG broadcast on YouTube, and Healing with Angelica on Facebook and YouTube. And if you guys are not subscribed, please get to YouTube right now and subscribe to Healing with Angelica on YouTube now. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey and don't know where to start, Healing with Angelica is here to assist. Get started on your healing journey today with my one-on-one The Healing Journey program by texting the word READY to 937-313-2466. A free 15-minute consultation call is included with that, including a free The Healing Journey checklist. Also, be sure to join the Healing Tribe merch. I show you guys our Healing Tribe all the time, our Healing Tribe merch all the time. So we have some merch here. So be sure to check it out. We also have other things as well. This is just a few. So if you guys are interested in purchasing, text the word tribe to 937-313-2466. Also, my new ebook, did y'all forget, is out. My new ebook, Thrive, is now available for purchase directly or on Amazon. So if you are ready to learn how to reconnect with self and God, get your copy today by texting the word Thrive to 937-313-2466. Also, any purchases that you make is to help and to contribute to the growth of Healing with Angelica, as the plan is to always expand. So I am very, very, very grateful for all the love and support. And one last thing, you guys, I have another event coming up. Praise be to Allah, the relationship reset, reconnecting with self and manifesting real love. We will be having our second event here this Saturday down here in Dayton, Ohio from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So if you are in the area and are interested in coming out and reconnecting with self and manifesting real love, that relationship reset, which is needed. Relationship reset doesn't have to just be with a spouse. We really want to reset our relationship with ourselves, right? So be sure to check it out. And if you guys see the flyer, hey, share. And also, Sister Ameerah, before we end today's show, do you have any closing remarks for our audience today?
Yes, ma'am. Well, first, again, I want to thank you for inviting me to be on, and thank you to everyone who gave their time to listen to this podcast. I really did enjoy it. And I wanted to share some words from the minister.
Yes.
And I'm paraphrasing, but he was basically saying that it's not hard to do, kind of like what sharing what we talked about, like striving to be better. He was saying that the first thing you have to do is be committed in your mind and your heart. And then second, don't tempt yourself. Like I know as women, we already know what I mean by that. Like don't even do that. Don't tempt yourself. And again, you can always DM at NYWax if you like to like learn more and start your process of that journey. So that's all I want to share. That's it.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Absolutely. If you guys would like to just reach out to my sister and ask her some questions, like she has your back. Okay. So make sure y'all see that NOI Waxahachie.
There we go. You did. You said it right.
Yeah. See, you guys, listen, I thought I was going to get it wrong. Like I've been getting names and misspelling things, or saying things wrong. So I got it right, you guys. Give me a hand five. Woo! So yes, thank you so much, Sister Ameerah. I love it. Thank you again for joining us today. Inshallah, we may have to come back soon and talk more about this powerful topic. So
Yes.
if you're interested, we'll definitely connect soon. But
Yep, absolutely.
yes. However, I thank you guys for joining us today, and we leave you all as we came. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, healing, and light.